Episode 2, We Meet Again. Just as Sam and the others in the dorm were discussing Jacob's strange behavior and the scab on his chin, Jacob had left the dorm frantically. He waved down a taxi and was on his way to the hospital that had the best department of dermatology, Bellin Memorial Hospital. Once there, Jacob was made to go through a number of cumbersome administrative procedures and tiresome checkups. After going through a pile of reports, the dermatologist finally told Jacob that the streaks on his arm were caused by a type of dye. It was probably a discoloration from some bad quality bed sheets. According to the reports, there was no mutation of cells in his body. All the results from the various tests had indicated no abnormalities. Moreover, the green color was not a result of pigmentation. As for the scaly patterns, it was only accidental. The color happened to spread out in a relatively regular pattern. Most importantly, it was definitely not contagious. Although unconvincing, this explanation was enough to assure Jacob and calm him down for the time being. Clutching his reports, Jacob left the hospital and returned to his dorm room. He began scrubbing his arm with soap. He noticed that the color did seem to lighten a bit. He heaved a sigh of relief. After an afternoon of such terrifying events, he could finally get some rest. Now he was finding his panic a bit silly and chuckled. He changed his bedsheet into a clean one and quietly climbed into his bed. He tiptoed so that his roommates wouldn't wake up and slept as soon as his head hit the pillow. The Saturday afternoon sun shone brightly through the curtains, and the sunlight was directly falling on Jacob's face. But he was sleeping like a log. "Jacob! Jacob!" Someone banged the dorm room with loud thuds, calling out Jacob's name frantically. "Heck, who is it?" Sam, who was sleeping on the bed below Jacob's, threw a pillow at the door in anger. "Jacob, there's a cute girl waiting for you." It was one of their classmates at the door. "Cute girl? Cute girl?" As confused and dazed as he was, Sam abruptly woke up from his dream and rose to an upright position. Ever since Sam was rejected by the most popular girl at the university, he had lost the courage to pursue a relationship. However, he secretly wished that he had a girlfriend. "Jacob, get up! I've got to come and get you and take you to the cute girl waiting for you outside. There are so many people already gathered around the entrance of our cafeteria because they can't believe that a girl is looking for you. You have quite an audience." The classmate kept banging at the door. "What the hell are you talking about?" Jacob shouted. He was finally up, and gently rubbing his slightly aching stomach, Jacob remembered something. As he raised his arm, the trace of the winding green marks came into sight. It did not fade away, but it did not expand either. He felt a little relieved. Thump, thump, thump. The knocking persisted. I'm coming! Jacob jumped off the bed and went to get the door. By this time, Sam, who was sitting on his bed listening to the commotion, knew that he could not sleep anymore and rose from his bed grudgingly. On the other hand, upon hearing the words "cute girl," Sam began to dress excitedly. "So many people have surrounded the entrance of our cafeteria. My roommate and I were on our way to get food and thought there was a fight or something. We went over to take a look and found that it was a pretty girl waiting for someone." The classmate started talking without a pause as soon as Jacob opened the door to his room. "That doesn't necessarily mean she's waiting for me, does it? Particularly if a good-looking girl is in question. Why don't you ask Sam to talk to her? I'm not interested." Jacob glared at his classmate in annoyance. He had a sound sleep, but upon waking, his entire body felt uneasy and his muscles ached. Being woken up by this meaningless commotion had only irked him more. "Let me finish." The classmate grabbed Jacob's shoulders excitedly. "That pretty girl had a poster in her hands, and it is totally you. She said that whoever brings you to her would get awarded $500. "Me?" Jacob looked lost. He looked at his classmate sternly. "You are here for the $500, aren't you?" His classmate's smile was a little too bright. "I'm here for the drama, too." Jacob heard a growing commotion, and it felt like a crowd was approaching the outside of his dorm building. Jacob walked over to the balcony and saw a big group of students, mostly boys he was acquainted with, running wildly towards his dorm room. He could tell they were all coming after him because of the reward. He rushed inside his room and quickly threw on some clothes and shoes and followed his classmates down the stairs. As the dorm captain, Sam worried about any unexpected mishaps. Plus, he also wanted to see the girl. He rushed outside too, closing the dorm room shut. Sam was Jacob's closest friend. Even though he was usually foul-mouthed and liked to bug Jacob a lot, he was also the one who cared about Jacob the most. The dorm building was situated outside the campus, and as the trio walked along the entrance and entered the campus, they saw posters with Jacob's picture and the words "Wanted" in bold pinned up on the bulletin boards. Underneath the posters, written in a large font, were the words, "$500 reward for bringing the above person to me. Come to claim your reward by the entrance of the cafeteria." Going by the number of bulletin boards there were in the school, there had to be at least a few hundred of these posters. This was no less than the scale of being wanted nationally. "What did you do to that girl to make her come all the way to our college to make you a wanted man?" Sam asked Jacob curiously, as he anticipated in enthusiasm. "How am I supposed to know? I don't even know who she is," Jacob responded impatiently. Escorted by the big crowd, Jacob unwillingly walked towards the cafeteria. "He's coming! He's coming!" Seeing that the wanted person had appeared, some students started calling out to Jacob. The crowd was now making way for Jacob to pass through. Under the curious gaze of at least 100 students, Jacob awkwardly walked towards the door of the cafeteria and stopped dead in his tracks. It was the girl from yesterday, the one who fell out of nowhere and seemed to be falling from the sky. She was wearing a white t-shirt and a pair of washed-out jeans. It was a very common outfit, yet it looked outstanding on her. Strands of her hair were drifting in the wind. However, underneath the fluttering hair, there was an angry face. Oh! Someone started jeering. "Such a pretty girl," Sam whispered into Jacob's ear. "When did you meet such a beautiful girl? Give us an introduction." Sam turned around and winked at Jacob as he said that. He was itching to have another shot with a girl. Seeing that Jacob had finally showed up, the girl pursed her lips. Suppressing the awkwardness he felt, he walked up and asked under the many piercing glances, "I heard you were looking for me." "Did you take something from me yesterday?" Staring right into Jacob's eyes, the girl questioned unflinchingly. "What? What thing?" Jacob was not expecting this from her. He felt surprised and confused. Now that they had started their conversation, the classmate who fetched Jacob from his dorm quickly came forward and interrupted them. Rubbing his hands, he said, "Well..." The girl glanced over at him and drew out her wallet. From the purse, she took out $500 and handed it to the boy. "So she's a rich girl. Well, it seems her arrogance comes from money then," thought Jacob. Did you take something from me yesterday?" The pretty little girl continued to question Jacob. "What thing?" Jacob stared at her with eyes filled with anger. "It was a bead, a blue bead," she replied. "I didn't see it. You must have dropped it somewhere in the orchard," Jacob answered without thinking. The audience was a little disappointed by their conversation. They felt that the girl had been bullied in some way and had come to seek revenge. The fact that she was only looking to recover a lost item was hardly entertaining to them. "That bead is soft and bouncy," the girl explained. "I'll give you 2 more minutes. Think harder." "Can we talk somewhere else?" Jacob felt the crowd's eyes on them and felt uncomfortable. "Just give her back whatever you took from her. How shameless are you to steal from a girl?" one of the students yelled at Jacob. "Shut up! You have no right to comment on this." The girl was enraged at the crowd. "The show's over, guys. Go away already. Go!" Sam quickly addressed the crowd, and they slowly scattered away. The girl quickly resumed the topic. "That bead is of great importance, so I was hoping you could give it back to me." "But I don't know what you're talking about." Before he could finish, the little girl put out her hand and covered his mouth. Jacob caught a whiff of her scent and felt the softness of her palm on his lips. "I can feel it here, right here." She slowly moved her palm from his lips down to his neck and placed it on his stomach. Jacob had goosebumps by now, and Sam was just staring in complete shock. Jacob slowly caught her hand to remove it from his stomach, but the girl quickly caught hold of his wrist instead and rolled up his sleeve. The green-colored dragon-like tattoo was revealed to the 3 of them. "If you don't have my bead, how do you explain this?" the girl asked, to which Jacob had no answer and was staring at her in complete shock.